Hello, and welcome in. We're back today. I know it's been a few months, been several months since I've been live, but welcome back to our channel here at True Crime Chronicles Pursuit of Truth. We're back today, live streaming doubly on Facebook as well. So, welcome to my Facebook audience as well. And as you can see the picture on the screen, today I'm coming to update you all in the case of baby Emmanuel Harrow. And for you all that maybe haven't heard or maybe don't know, he is the little baby that disappeared. Mom filed a police report stating that he had disappeared, stated she had got punched in her eye and that someone kidnapped the baby. However, we later learned that was not true and that the baby had passed away long before they even filed the missing person report for him. And I'm coming today with an update, two updates. One, the father did plead guilty. Two, the newest update, mom also pled guilty. And I'm also going to give you all the sentences that they both received on today. Let me know if how my audio sound. Please let me know if I'm low or if it's mumbled or anything like this so that I can adjust. Let's see here. I'm going to share my screen. Make sure that it shared with sound. Let me stop it and restart it here. Okay, yes. So again, the mother has pleaded guilty. I'm gonna play this first, and then after I play this, then we'll go ahead. Let's hit.
Our other top story, the mother of Emmanuel Harrow pleaded guilty in court to both child endangerment and involuntary manslaughter of her child. A judge also handed down a sentence in the case. NBC4's Christian Cáceres was in the courtroom. He joins us live with the latest. Christian.
Annabelle, I can tell you it was a very emotional day inside that courtroom. But again, Rebecca Otto had her preliminary hearing scheduled today to determine if her case would move forward to trial. But that all changed when a plea agreement was entered. Now, as you mentioned, Otto pled guilty today to several counts, including child endangerment, involuntary manslaughter, and being accessory to murder. Now, I want to show you some video here because we've been following this case since the beginning here. Now, overall, her sentence will be nearly 13 years in prison, while her husband, Jake Otto, continues to serve life in prison after he admitted to the crime and was sentenced last fall. Now, again, this case began last year on August 14th when the boy's parents filed a report that 7-month-old Emmanuel had been taken from a shopping center in Yucaipa. Back then, the father asking for the community's help to find his son. 1 week later, sheriff's deputies arrested both Jake and Rebecca Otto at their Cabazon home after investigators say there were inconsistencies in their statements. Now, last fall, the boy's father was sentenced to life after he admitted to the murder, but investigators have not yet found his remains.
Rebecca Harrow is going to prison because she failed as a mother. She may not have put her hands on Emmanuel, but she knew that Jake was, and she had a responsibility to intervene, and she chose repeatedly not to. The law holds parents, all of them, responsible. She failed, and she deserves to be where she is today.
And Annabelle, this morning, Rebecca Otto was, it was a very emotional day, as I mentioned, inside that courtroom. She was crying at times while she pled guilty in court, which now waives her right to trial, while several of her family members, including the boy's grandmother, were present inside that courtroom. Now, prosecutors said while they have no evidence the mother harmed the son, she did not intervene, and it was her responsibility, they say, as a mother. But again, Rebecca Otto pled guilty to several counts, including involuntary manslaughter to her son's death, and now she begins her sentence of almost 13 years behind bars. That's the very latest from Riverside. Christian Cáceres, NBC4 News.
1/8 plus 1/8 equals 1/4. 1/2 is bigger than 1/3, and 1/3.
All right, so let's discuss this a little bit. As we heard, we can stop there for a second. So as we just heard, both mom and dad have now both pleaded guilty in this case. Again, we've just heard that both mom and dad have now both pleaded guilty and been sentenced. In the case we didn't catch the sentence, dad sentenced to life in prison, mom sentenced to almost 13 years in prison. So she went for her preliminary hearing, and instead of having a preliminary hearing, she entered a guilty plea. Basically the same as what dad did several months ago when he went to court for his preliminary hearing and got in there and pleaded guilty. And what those guilty pleas state is that what everybody knew all along, that this baby didn't just disappear, that nobody punched on her eye and kidnapped the baby. The story that they were telling all along was false, as we all knew from the beginning when we first heard this story. It was told all through this story. Nobody believed it from the start. Like people wanted to believe it because they wanted to believe that this baby was alive and he would be found alive and reunited with his family. But within hours, everybody was like, "No, this is not. We're not getting the true story." The whole started being told. People started saying, "Hey," giving statements. "Hey, we seen her, but we didn't see the baby." The workers at the store that she said she was in the parking lot, those people said, "No, she came in, but the baby never came in. She didn't have the baby. It was just her." Same as people were saying the black eye that she had on TV was not it was healing. It was not actually a brand new bruise on her eye that they had seen her with that black eye weeks before she said someone punched her and kidnapped their baby. So we again, their story, people, it was getting the holes were getting poked in this story. It was holes in this story from the beginning, and slowly, the police chipped away and chipped away. And of course, we knew the police were gonna get phone records and go check video records at those stores. We knew that, and they knew that, but I guess they thought they had told a good enough story that they could pass it and no one would think twice about a baby getting kidnapped. And again, when we heard a missing 7-month-old baby and the mom on TV crying and saying somebody punched me in my eye and kidnapped my baby, we wanted so bad to believe that her story was true and that we could find this baby alive. But nothing in the story was making sense from the beginning. And again, back to the update, we give a slight update we're giving for the people that don't know or hadn't heard. But yes, the mom has now pleaded guilty to an accessory charge and another charge. Let me see. So basically, what they saying with the mom is that she knew that the dad was abusing the baby, and she didn't call the police. She didn't file any type of reports to stop it. That she knew it was going on, and she watched him abuse the baby up until the baby passed away. And excuse me, and then she went along with his story to report the baby as a kidnap. It's a kidnapping. She went along with all of that, and they're saying by her not stepping up when he was abusing that baby and getting the baby out of there, that makes her an accessory. And the fact that she went along with the story of the baby being kidnapped, so she pleaded guilty to, and she went to court. So this was published on May the 29th. I'm trying to see the exact day she went to court, but she pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter and also an accessory, which I'm trying to see. Okay, so she pleaded guilty to felony child abuse causing great bodily injury to a child under the age of 5, involuntary manslaughter, and accessory after the fact. VA officers released, and as a part of that agreement, she's sentenced again to just under 13 years, 12 years and 8 months in a state prison. We don't know how much of this she's going to serve. To me, there's not enough time for what that baby went through, and for the fact that she know that baby went through that. To me, she need more time. I don't know. Y'all come in and let me know if y'all agree to this sentence that she got. I know her family came out. They've been coming out and making statements since all this is going on. And I know I saw one statement from her family. I think it was her mom or maybe her sister came out and said, "Hey, she was abused too. She was scared. That's why she went along with everything." But my thing is, I understand being an abuse victim, and we see that she had we saw the bruise on her. We saw she had a black eye. So I'm not discounting that she was abused, um, a domestic violence victim. But at the same time, when it comes to your children, as a mom, as a mother, Me, I would lay my life on the line for my child. So if I'm not gonna sit here and watch somebody abuse my child and harm my child and then just turn a blind eye to it up until my baby's dead. I mean, and even before they had this baby, he has an older daughter that we all know about that he abused as well and changed her life for the rest of her, gave her a lifelong injury, brain injury to the fact that she's dependent on care. She can't feed herself, she can't walk, she can't talk. This baby girl, he abused her, almost unalived her. And now you see and she got with him and married him after the fact, after that happened. So you knew the type of man you were getting with before you got with him. That's why I can't feel too bad for her when her family says, hey, she was an abuse victim and he brainwashed her. Okay, y'all knew what was going on. Y'all could have intervened. Y'all could have called CPS. Y'all could have said, hey, she's in an abusive relationship. He's beating on her in the presence of her children. Y'all need to get those children out of there. We got reason to believe that the child is being abused as well. Y'all want to come out now and excuse this behavior. There's no excuse for what they did to this baby, to this 7-month-old child. And according to the report that came out, it was a report that I saw that states that this baby was abused over time. So basically they got some sort of records, I don't know, be it text message or videos of what they pulled from their cell phone, but there was evidence. It was stated that he was abusing this child, all this child basically the whole 7 months that this baby boy was alive. He was being abused. I mean, they got pictures of him, as they stated, showing bruises and marks and stuff. So, and they said also they believe that baby sustained some sort of brain injury. Although, again, they have not stated that they found his remains. So they know that he's gone, deceased, because they pleaded guilty to him being deceased and him being harmed and them harming him. So we all know he was harmed and he's deceased. The dad even went out there with them, with the investigators, and tried to lead them, and they searched in the area, but he was not recovered. So who knows where they buried this baby at or what they did with him, and if he's ever going to be located, which I hate that this situation happened. Welcome in. I see I got a couple of viewers. Welcome in to the channel. And we were just giving an update on baby Emmanuel. Um, Dad has pleaded guilty several months ago. Let's see, Dad pleaded guilty. Let me see. Jake pleaded guilty because he also went for a preliminary hearing and pleaded guilty at his hearing. Um, He's sentenced to 25 to life for the murder of his son, for unaliving his son. Um, let's see. Yeah, they gave him 25 to life back in November. So, yeah, several months ago. Back in November of last year is when he pleaded guilty and was sentenced. Um, and then Rebecca, she just pleaded at the end of May. She just made her plea deal and was sentenced to on the less than 13 years. She got 12 years and 8 months. And again, the charges she pleaded to in her case were felony, child abuse causing great bodily injury to a child under the age of 5, involuntary manslaughter, and accessory after the fact. Which again, that accessory means they saw her. I mean, not they saw her, but she saw him harming that child, and she did not step in as his mother and say, "Hey, that's not right. Let me get my baby out of here." No, she seen it and let it keep going until the baby was unalive. And then she went along with the bogus story of making a police report about him being kidnapped, when all along she knew that he had unalived that baby. Neither one of them have gave full details on what happened the day that he died or what led up to him passing. They have not, from everything I've researched, they have not given any of those type of details out of their mouths. But they both have pleaded guilty. So that lets us know that their baby is no longer alive. And I wish they would tell where his remains are so that this poor baby can be laid to rest, and take his rightful peaceful rest that he deserves. Um, and if at some point they come out and say they found the remains, we'll come back and update that. If anything changes between the scene, the scenes or anything like that, we'll come back with that. But I did just want to come today just to give a little quick update on the fact that now both parents of baby Emmanuel have now pleaded guilty in this case. They have both pleaded guilty um, in baby Emmanuel's case. Dad, let's see. And his dad, back not even 2 years before Emmanuel again was on the line in 2023, Jake had already pleaded guilty in another child abuse. And again, that was involving his daughter, his older daughter. And he got probation in that. Talking about giving him a second chance. And look what that second chance did. It got baby Emmanuel on the line. But again, that's neither here nor there. We discussed that before. We were just coming today. Jake pled guilty to second degree murder and the death of his son. And the judge sentenced him to more than 30 years. He was sentenced to 25 years to life for second degree murder, but he was also sentenced to two other terms. He was sentenced for violating his probation because again, he still was on probation for the previous child abuse case when this all happened. So of course he has to go spend time in jail for violating that as well. So yeah, he got the 25 to life in baby Emmanuel's case, but then he also received 6 months plus 6 years and 8 months for violating his probation. So again, that's well over 30 years that he's sentenced to, and I hope he serves all of that time because as we can see, there's no rehabilitating this man. He's gonna continue to be a danger to society and a danger to his own children. He does not need to be let go. He does not. He didn't need a second chance the first time around. He harmed a child, but again, they wanted to give him the chance. So, but now they're all saying we shouldn't have did that. He should have went away the first time because basically what he did was ended that baby girl's life as she knew it. She's never been the same since he beat her. He nearly unalived her with that beating. But again, I came today. We finally got some sense of justice for this baby in the sense that his mom has pleaded guilty. She's gotten 12 years, 8 months, and the dad he got a 30 year to life plus extra time for violating probation in their first child abuse. So they're both going to be in jail for a long time. I hope at some point they feel it in their heart to let us know where his baby is at so he can be recovered and laid to rest as he should be. And we'll be I'll be now following up in just a moment on another case that we followed, and that was Nazaria Harris. So in her case, the update that we was coming with, Jarvis Butts, he ended up passing away in prison. They found him. They said they found him dead in his prison cell, and I believe it was suicide. I'm trying to, from everything I saw. Yes, they said he died by suicide. However, they said they were still following up with further investigation. Let me see. I'm bringing it up for those of you that may not remember that case. That's why I stopped letting the who niggas money, nigga. Because you know who else asked me for some money? This is baby girl, Nazaria Harris. He sexual assaulted this girl, had a whole relationship with her. 13 years old. Then he ended her life to hide the fact that he had impregnated her. He ended up being found guilty on the charges that he was charged with regarding in relation to her death. And as soon as this man got his sentence and went back to the prison, he unalived himself. Like 2 weeks, he committed suicide 2 weeks after he was sentenced to up to 60 years in prison. And he had also had 4 other victims that he was serving time for. So this man was a serial offender, and he knew it, and he unalived himself because he knew he wasn't getting out of prison, and he knew that them inmates, some of them inmates, if they found out what he was in there for, they was gonna take her on. So he took the cowboy out. He took his own self out. Then they are still hoping to find her body, but this coward unalived himself without giving any increment of where his baby girl's body can be recovered from. So we may never recover her, same as baby Emmanuel. We may not never recover her remains because this coward unalived himself without giving any further information or point to where he hid her remains. And the Michigan State Police is investigating his death, although they did release a statement that says he unalived himself. Of course, they still gonna do a slight investigation, but you know, just in case his family try to say, "Oh, somebody unalived him in prison." I mean, it is his family, so they got a right to question what happened in the prison. But from everything that was released, he committed suicide, and that was a slight update I had on that. So he ended up getting found guilty. He was convicted of unaliving this 13-year-old baby girl, Naziah Harris. And after he was sent 2 weeks after he was sentenced to over 60 years in prison, he unalived himself. The coward couldn't handle being in prison for unaliving his baby and also sexual assault with 4 other victims. And these other victims were babies as well. They were younger children that he had got charged for. I just wanted to come on here and give those 2 updates. And we are going to talk about Carmelo Anthony's case here shortly. I'll be back a little later on to talk about his case. Give my opinion on his case. Um, Release some information that I've been seeing. Of course, his case is not being televised, being that when all this happened, they were all minors. So the judge has banned any type of recording. Nobody can record in the courtroom. The press is in there, but they can only take notes. There can be no text while you're in there, video recording, no type of media, period. Only thing they can do is write out notes and then share what they wrote down later on after the court, but nobody can record any testimony or take any pictures or anything in there. And there's a lot that has come out during this trial, although we're still early in the Carmelo Anthony trial. There's some stuff that has come out, and I have an opinion on that a little bit later. I'll be back a little bit, if not later today, tomorrow we'll be back to cover Carmelo Anthony and give some updates on this since the trial did start this past week. I just wanted to come and update my people that was following me for updates in baby Emmanuel case. She did eventually plead guilty on her latest court hearing at the end of May. It was May 29th. She pleaded guilty and she has been sentenced to 12 years, 8 months. Dad, we know he pleaded guilty back in November. He's sentenced 25 to life plus time for violating his probation because again he was on probation for the 2023 child abuse incident. We're not even calling it incident. The child abuse case involving his older daughter, another one of his children. So he'll be in there while mom is in there. If anything else comes up with it, I'll come back and give you all that information. But I will be back to speak on the Carmelo Anthony case and everything that's come out since the trial been going. Sure. Just share my opinion on it a little bit later. We'll be back shortly.